Yeah, so hi guys, how are you doing? Hope you're doing great. I'm Jamal Builder from Fundi Builders and Upskill Connector. So welcome back again for another session for exactly that I teach you on how exactly you can be able to use ArchiCAD to do structural detailing and to do some few things regarding structural detailing, right? So on this particular series, of course, we are using this plan. So you can see the 3D. So this is these are two-bedroom apartments that we are trying to do detailing using ArchiCAD. We have done for the foundation. Now we want to do a beam column, layout for it. How exactly do you place columns? How do you place beams and all that? So let's look at that. So I'm going to go to, I'm using the first floor. Now remember guys, the reason why I'm using the first floor plan is because now this apartment, these two-bedroom apartment, they are typical. So all the floors have the same kind of a layout. Yeah, so let's get started. So you come here, you have the floor plan. So we say that is typical. That means that there's no difference in terms of the layout of the whole structure. So you come here and we have already, you can see this is a floor plan. So we have the grid lines already in place. We have the furniture, we have the kitchen. So this is a lounge. Okay, let me start you from here. So this is where you have the staircase. And so this corridor, so from here to here is actually used by these by the tenant of this apartment. The reason why we have this whole corridor is because of clotheslines and all that. So the clotheslines will be here. You just need to give people some decent space of circulation and all that. I know some will say that all this space is going to waste on all that. Alternatively, actually, is that if you don't want to have all this long corridor here, the alternative would actually be placing this door here, so that then you have the lounge to be bigger and all that. But anyway, that's not the whole thing. We can be able to do that on a later stage, but let's just have that this is a corridor. The reason why I have this corridor is so that we can be able to explain how you're going to have the steel reinforcement detailing for a slab when you have a balcony for that case. And also when we are doing the structural analysis using ETABS, then that will come in handy. So, but the way it is actually good, only that now that part might be, it's a long corridor and all that. But anyway, you don't want a squeezed space. Your kids can come here, you can come here, just bask around here and, do your laundry here and all that. So there's a lot that one can do along this corridor. So it's quite important to have that. Yeah, so let's do the column beam layout. Now guys, you remember that you cannot place you don't need this all information. So this architectural information, you don't need all this information. So what exactly you're going to do? You're going to either delete or hide some of these things. So you can hide, for example, the furniture, hide the furniture here, and then you're going to be left with this kind of a plan. So with this kind of a plan, so now we can come here on this side. So what I've done with this one is only that I've copied this and I removed some items, or let me delete that and so that then we can move together. So just drag a copy of this. So bring it here. So what you're going to do for this one is that we are going to delete anything that is not necessary for structural detailing. So for example, the furniture. So how do you go about it? You come here, use the mark you tool. So just mark you on that area, and then come here to object, click on object, and Control A to select all the object, and then you can delete. You see, so we have deleted all that. Also, we can highlight you see this text here, the room text. So click on text, Control A, and then delete them. You can just delete them, or you can hide, but for this case I want to delete, so that when I click on show all area, it won't appear, right? Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So here we are now, so we have been left with all this. Now with this one, now we can be able now to do the beam layouts and all that. Yeah, let's see where the beams will be. Now in this case, I want to show where the beams will be. So in this case, for example, I will have a beam here, I will have a beam here, I will have a beam here, here. So there are places that we are going to introduce beams which are not actually here per now. For example, so let's do a simple analysis for that. So I'm going to click, for example, you see this is a very long span. So this can be a one-way slab, but let's have a beam, for example, here, right? So you can just take this beam, take this wall and extend it. So this is the importance of using ArchiCAD for your detailing. You see, now you can, so this will be a beam, and also guys, I want this also to be a beam, right? So because we are going to place some columns somewhere, so that will be a beam. Also guys, I think we can just delete the doors. So let's come here, use the marquee tool again, like that, and we're going to select all the windows. So come to design, door, then Control A, then delete. You see, now we don't have any door here, you see. Then also the windows, so let's just do the same, Control A, delete. So now also guys, you can see we have these. So this is the rail. So come here on layering, Control A, select all the rail and delete. Yeah, so that's away. So then you can say escape, click escape to come out of the marquee tool. Now guys, you can see that now we have the this floor plan. So let's delete the floors. You don't need and also you can delete this one. Yeah, so that's how you're going to place your but before that guys, but we're going to use this to place in the columns. But now guys, this will be your beams. Now guys, you can see you can decide to introduce a beam here. It will be necessary actually, so you can also elongate this to have that beam coming all the way from that side up to here, right? Yeah, so that will be enough. So let's now place there. You see, so this now will be all your beams, but there are beams that I'm not going to use. For example, this one, I'm not going to have a beam here. The only thing we are going to introduce here on this part is only the lintel. You see here, we're going to have the lintel, or the lintel for this door. So this one, I'm not going to have a beam. You see, I'm not going to have a beam there. Also guys, here, I'm not going to have a beam for this one. I'm not going to have a beam here, so I can remove this beam here. So I'm only going to create a lintel on this part, so I'm not going to have a beam there. Remember guys that some of these are not you know, they are partition walls. They're not necessarily a load bearing. For example, even this one might not be load bearing, but because we want to kind of have this beam coming all across and also one coming, you know, coming through straight, because here we are going to introduce a column, and probably here we have a column, so that then we can be able to connect the two columns with a beam, right? So that will be important. So it's good to have this beam, this beam, this beam, this beam, this beam, this beam. So you see now we have a very simple layout of that particular design. So now this is what now you have as your layout. So this is the layout that you have. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going now to start. So this now will be our beams. Now I can change actually this, because now you remember that this one might, because we did for the wall, they might appear as if they are for the wall. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the how it appears. So I don't want my beams to have these fill. So I'm going to come here, wall, and control it, select all the walls, and come here on the structural. So this is the profile, and change it to probably, I want to be, yeah, this one. So now this will be my beams. Now so this will be my beams. So you can see this will be my beams, guys. Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, so those will be my beams. So that's why. So now those will be my beams. Now guys, you can see that this color is not actually very visible for the grid lines. So I'm going to change that color by coming here, grid lines. Then I'm going to change this color here. So I'm using the floor plan, so it's good to note that. And then I'm going to use something not that shouting. And also the line, guys, we can use actually dotted. Yeah, so that it can be different. Yeah, you see now that is a little bit better. So that's a little bit better. One can be able now to see without strain. Yeah, so that's for the grid. So now these will be my beams, guys. So we have said that here we're going to put a lintel. Also here we're going to put a lintel. Here we're going to have a beam. We're going to have a beam here, probably another beam here. And here we have extended this because we're going to have columns. So it's very most important that if you can be able to connect your columns to beams, it's quite important. So then let's place our columns. Now in this case, because this is these are how many? These are first floor, second floor, third floor. Then we have the terrace. So for this one, guys, let's assume for this one that we're going to use a column of 200 by 300. I know, guys, it's supposed to be 225, but because my walls are 200 thick, let's use that. But of course, it's going to be plastered. So let's come here and create a beam of 200 by 300. You see how I've done that? So I've just come here, polyline, created a polyline, but now this one, you see now how I've not drawn anything. I've just changed the filler so that then I have the beam layout. So that's the easiest of actually using ArchiCAD when you're doing all this. So now this one, I'm going now to place the columns, because then you need to have columns and beam placed on the same drawing so that one can be able to trace where that column and beam is. Yeah, so let's do this. So now this, remember, is for the floor beam. So these are floor beams. This information that you need, of course, you will have to do structural analysis to know what exactly the member size is. So for this one, because it's for just for example of how you're going to go about it, placing the columns and everything. So that's why I'm using 200 by 300. With probably 6 bars, but I'm going to show you how you place the bars and and everything. But for now, let's just do the column placement and positioning and orientation. Column position and orientation for this one. Now we need to take a fill, so we're going to take this lead fill, and here I'm going to say I'm actually using 4 columns. So here I want now to draw. You can actually draw, come here and just draw, or you can use space and then it's going to be there. Now guys, I want to delete the polyline because it's not useful as per now. Then I'm going to place the columns. Now let's do this. So move, drag a copy or multiple copies. So guys, I want now to place my columns. So let's see. So I can place a column there, Let's place here, guys. This will depend on the experience that you have. But they are thumb rule, for example, distance, the span, and all that, and also the architectural plan. So let's first of all up to them. So you can see now I've placed a column here, a column here, a column here, a column here. Now let's see the span. So take the dimension tool and measure between these two columns. I want to maintain that my column should be, around 6 meters to around 6 meters to around 2.5. So you can see now this is accurate. So because this is a bath, so I'm combining the bedroom and the bath to use the same columns. Remember, guys, that I'm using load-bearing walls, so that's why you can see I'm spacing these columns in that. So it's not a must that I'm going to have a column here, a column here. So that's not the essence. That's why you need to do preliminary analysis, right? Yeah, so let's continue placing our columns. The other column now, we are going to place it here. So you need to have a column here because of the span. Yeah, so let's take a column. So drag a copy. I'm going to place this column here. Now, guys, I need to know what is the distance between here and the distance from here to here. So initially, I'm supposed to have these dimensions, but since these are just for the placement, so you can see these at 5, these at 8. That means that these distances are almost equal. Now you also need to measure. So this is 56. So I'm going to have a column here. So this column should face in any direction. So here, guys, you can just have this column placed here at the center. Also, guys, I'm going to Control Shift D. I drag this column again up to there. So I'm going to have a column there here. My staircase has to have at least four number of columns, and also there. Okay, so you can delete this for now. And let's just delete it. Let's just delete it. Yeah, so we can have that. So that's the columns. Now, guys, I need to have a column here, a column here, a column here, a column here. So let's just have a column here, and also at the very end. At the very end, I'm having the column at the center. There. Now here, I need a column. Yeah, I'm going to place it here. I'm going to explain to you, but then you can be able to follow. So you see, now I'm placing my columns. Also here, guys, I need a column. I need a column here. Remember that your column should not create obstruction, right? So your column should not create any kind of obstruction toward any movement. So that's how you're going to place your columns. But also, guys, I'm going to have columns here on this corridor. But for this one, guys, we can let me drag a copy of this one. But I'm going to have a column of 200 by 200. Yeah, like that. Yeah, like that. And also I'm going to have a column here. So you can see on this part we have, I think, more columns, and the span is actually very small. So like that. So those will be the columns. So guys, with that, now you will have already placed all your columns for that case, and you see it's a very decent job, and So those will be your columns. So how many columns? Then you're going to create a column schedule and all that, but now so what I want now is to look at the beams. Now once you have done that, you're going now to name your beam. So for example, what column this is, what column this is, what column this is. So you can see now we have two types of column. We have a 200 by 300 and a 200 by 200 column. All minimum is actually 225. So that's the whole thing. Now you're going to take to name. Now assuming that I'm going to have all the beams to be of the same size, so I'm going to name my beams accordingly. So for example, these are continuous beam all along, that this can be a continuous beam all along. These are beam, these are continuous 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 beam, and then how you're going to name them. Now most of the time we name beams based on the grid lines, so you can just use alpha, any kind of method that you want, as long as they become consistent throughout the plan. So you can say this is beam 1, beam 2, beam 3, beam 4, or beams which are similar, you name them like that. So you can say all the beams are similar, but then because now we have different grid lines, then you can say probably they are different because of the position and everything. But now, because you want to describe each and every beam, because of things, for example, like extra bars, the detailing and all that, so it's very most important to have each and every beam named individually, all grouped together if they share a certain commonality. For example, like this one, if this beam and this one are sharing, they have the same line, they have the same way that you have the bars and everything, then you can name them to be similar. You see, for example, this beam, and this beam, probably they will have the same configuration and the same type of bar, then that beam can be similar to each other. Now maybe this beam and this one might be similar, and probably this beam will be on itakuwa peke yake. So that's how we are going to do it. So let's say now this beam are similar because of length and probably the configuration of them. So I'm going to come here and say that will be, let's say that will be beam 1, right? So beam 1, the difference, so beam 1, so I want to rotate this, so rotate this one like that, then you can place it there. So now I need to say, now this is beam 1, so I'm going to drag a copy and I bring it here. But anyway, let's say this is also beam 2. Let's say, but okay, let's just say this is beam 2. But if they are similar, I think that would be the best way. But now for this lesson, let's just assume they're different because we don't have the structural analysis for the same. So this can be beam 4, beam 4. But if they are similar, you can. So I hope you understand my concept. Like if this beam, and this beam are similar in terms of length and in terms of the number of bars, the area, and how the bars have been arranged, then you can use similar names. So that is, for example, this one you can say it's 1, it's beam 1, which actually most of the time we use on site. Yeah, so this will be a different beam. This one, let's name it 1, right? And then now, since we have already named this one, let's say this will be beam 2, right? Yeah, so then here we can have beam 3. This one we can name it to be beam 3. Beam 3, yeah? Like that. And this one probably might be beam 3 also. So because they're similar with the other one, beam 3. Yeah, so we have beam 3. You can see, so these two beams probably they will be similar. So that's why we are giving them the same. If they're not going to be similar, then we are going to have, for example, maybe 3A, 3B, and all that, and 3, all that. Yeah, so now, so this, remember beam 1 is starting from here all the way to here. This starts from here all the way to here. This starts from here all the way to here. Then now let's have the beams going in this direction. So assuming now all those beams now will be similar, so Control D, then Control, rotate Control E, so Control E for rotate. So we can place it here. We can also place it there, place it here, but this actually will be beam 4, so it's good to like it, but we have already written it before you start. I've placed, yeah, so 4. And also you can now drag this because we want this beam also to be similar. We can say this is also beam 4. Oh, yeah, we don't have beam 5. So you see, so that's how you're going to name all your beams. So these are beam column layouts. So you're going to show what beam, what's the name of the beam, the identification or the annotation of the beam, and the position and all that. Now let's name the columns. So these will be column, for example, C1. So take your text and maybe say column 1. Yeah, so I'm going to ensure that so that is column 1. The reason why you have these names is so that you can be able to easily identify all the difference, so that if you have different size of columns, one can be able to know what column that is. Yeah, so and where you see there is a confusion, you're going to change. You're going to, so for example here, I want to put it there. So come up, you can change the position of this one. You can come here, so that then this is column C1. Also, we can move, so drag multiple copies. Select this one, C1, probably you can put it here, put it there, yeah, and maybe place it here. So that is column C1. Let's just place for this one, we're going to change the name, right? Yeah, so column 1. So these ones, we are going to name them column 2, because remember guys, we have two different types of columns. We have the 200 by 200 and also 200 by 300, and so that's why we have those. So you can see the reasoning of how you name your columns and how you position them. So this now will be the beam column layout. So you're going to come here and take text and say here beam column layout, like that. So that will be your title, and now you can just place it there. You put there this one, you can say 10, and you have it, you see. So that's how you're going to name your beams and position your columns based on that. So you can see guys that there is an influence in terms of the architectural. So for example, this column I've placed here, probably I won't be in a position to place it in any other way, because of here we have a door and here we have a door. So if I put this column, a protrusion on here, it will create some obstruction, and also the same on this side. So yeah, so that's how you place columns and beams. So what you're going to do, you're going now to take this one and place it. So right click, and you can come here and create a new subset, new layout, and call it beam column layout, guys. Beam column layout. Then you can say create beam column layout. You see once we click it, but it seems that we have to change this one. So rename this one column beam layout. Remember, guys, I'm using pre-made. Yeah, so if I'm checking, I'm going to check only that one. Yeah, so that's the plan. So we can, once we click there, so that's going to be active. So I'm going to come and take this one and right click and say save place on the layout, and I'm going to place it here on my pre-made template. But it seems that I need to use yeah, so it's here. So I want to use actually this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open master layout and new master layout. You can say A3. So this was not supposed to be a lesson, but let's just do it. So A3, maybe portrait, like that. Then the picture I want is an A3. You're supposed to use the isometric. Like that one. So this one, but I want now to come here and copy this one. So copy, come here. I want to paste it here. Remember, guys, this one should be active. You only need to open it and just play around with it. Yeah, it's good. And then you can reduce it like that. So those are the notes. So then I can take this and place it here. It's kind of yeah, like that. Yeah, so with that now I can come back to my book layout and come to column this one here. This one, but yeah, so here what I now want is to now change this layout. So I'm going to come here, layout settings, and I'm going to use now A3 portrait. I know these are mix up, yeah, so I wanted to look like that. So now you can come here and place this one. See? Yeah, so you can come and try and fit it. If it doesn't fit, there's no problem. We can just work on the scale. But I think it's all right. It's good the way it is. So you're going now to take this and come here and save as. So guys, you can see it's black and white because of settings. So if you want to have any other settings, you can just come here and use them. So right now it's black pen on the pen set, and then I can use defined So then you can be able to see it on the color that you want, you see. So now with this one, now you can save it while you are on this layout book. You can save as and save as save this one. So you can come here and say column beam layout, like that, and then which format you want it to be in PDF. So you can then come and say, and you can save it maybe here on documents, and and say save. And with that, now you will have your column beam layout. So I want to check documents, and we had column beam layout. So you can see now you have your column beam layout like that. So yeah, so that one will be your design, guys. So that will be very easy. So see you on the next video. I'm Jamal Bira, and guys, don't forget to like and subscribe for this YouTube channel. But if you want any kind of training, you can always contact the number above for lessons. And if you're looking for an internship, you can always contact us, and we can look for you internship and attachment. Yeah, so see you on the next video.